More on the breaking news that now 9 members of Congress just today have called for Joe Biden to step aside, and I have one of them on the phone. Democratic Congressman of Ohio, Greg Landsman, joins me now. Thank you so much for calling in, Congressman. I do have the statement that you released announcing your decision, and you say you made it, quote, after weeks of consideration and hundreds of conversations with constituents. What is it that you heard and that you concluded that made you finally take this step?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. So the district is Cincinnati, Southwest Ohio, and it's an equal number of Democrats, Independents, Republicans, a perfect district, right? And it represents, I think, in many ways, the country, certainly these swing states and districts, and across the board, people want change. And they want somebody new to lead us through what are going to be difficult times. They want somebody who's going to, defend our democracy, strengthen it, pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. They want, reproductive freedom restored. They want a tax code and economy that's built for them, not billionaires and big corporations. And so, a lot is on the line. That's not Trump, and he proved that last night. He's a grievance guy, and with Project 2025, we have a lot to be concerned with, and we need somebody who can make the case against Trump, and that requires Mr. Biden to do the right thing, which I think he will, because he cares deeply about the country, and pass the torch on to a new leader who can give us that kind of energy and hope that people here and I think around the country are looking for.
Of course, you know that the argument that Joe Biden has made and that his campaign is continuing to make is none of this is new. He says, I'm old. That hasn't changed. Nobody thought I was going to be any different after I, won the nomination, or at least got the delegates to win the nomination. So what about the concern that some Democrats have expressed? The president has insisted he is staying in this race and that these ongoing public calls, in fact, are damaging chances for the Democrats to beat Donald Trump.
70% of Democrats are now saying they don't want to see Biden as the nominee. They're looking for new leadership. That has changed. Polling and swing districts and states, that has changed. Enthusiasm has dropped. That has changed. The debate was one thing. His response since is another, and he is dug in a way that I don't think is really him. I do think that Joe Biden cares deeply about the country. He sees what's happening and how important it is to ensure that Donald Trump isn't president again, but also that we are able to win the House and the Senate. As my friend Jared Moskowitz said the other day, there are 3 races: the presidential, the House, and the Senate. And if we don't do the right thing here, Donald Trump could control all 3 branches of government, and that will upend the democracy as we know it and our lives. And so I hope the president does the right thing and hands this off, and I think we'll be fine. I know that people are worried about what happens next, but we'll be okay. I really do believe that, and I'm hopeful.
If the president does decide that he's going to stay in, if he sticks firm to the idea that he believes he is the best person, the only person who has ever beaten Donald Trump in the past, we're now 1 month until the convention, 109 days until the election. At what point do you believe Democrats, again, if Joe Biden doesn't change his mind, need to say, OK, he's our guy, we're going to get behind him, and we're going to do everything we can to beat Donald Trump?
After he's nominated, if he stays in the race.
You think you can wait a month? You think you can wait a month for that?
Yeah, I think, that if he's the nominee, everyone's going to do whatever they can, including me. I mean, and he knows that. I think the challenge is whether or not people are going to come out and vote. And that's a huge deal for whether or not democracy is going to withstand this election, whether or not we're going to be in a position to restore reproductive freedom, build an economy for workers as opposed to one for billionaires. And so everything's on the line. And, I hear it across the board in the district that they want new leadership. And that's Trump, too. I mean, people talk about the double haters. These are just people who want change. They want somebody new. Some of them like Trump, some of them like Biden, and I like Biden. But we want something new. We want a new leader, and we have that opportunity. And I think more and more folks around the president get that. And this could be a huge part of his legacy. He'll go down as one of the most historic presidents in the country's history. He saved democracy. He's rebuilding the country. He pulled us out of a global pandemic, and he saved democracy again in 2024 by making sure that we had somebody at the top of the ticket who could make the case against Donald Trump.
Congressman Greg Glanzman from my home state of Ohio, I really do appreciate you getting on the phone and talking to us. Thank you so much.
Hey there, MSNBC fans. I'm Luke Russert, and be sure to join me, Rachel Maddow, Jen Psaki, Lawrence O'Donnell, Steve Kornacki, Joy Reid, and many more September 7th in Brooklyn, MSNBC Live Democracy 2024. Click on the link for ticket information. We will see you there.